Hi guys, it's Winnie from BellaSunshyn. If you're a fan of Barbara from 49 Dragonflies and Louisa, I'm sure you all have seen their recent video on making a card inspired by Juliana Michaels. To get back into filming and doing some more crafting, I decided to go ahead and do another challenge, and I will be using the same process as they did as my inspiration. The challenge that I'm doing is created by Laura from one of my Facebook group, and she's got 5 categories, and each category we must pick one that we're going to be doing for this challenge. Number 1 is you need to figure out whether you're going to be making a tag, a pocket, an envelope, belly band, journal card, or a hidden paper clip. Second category is you need to pick a circle, a rectangle, square, diamond, or an octagon. Number 3 is using a stamp, sticker, napkin, washi tape, book page, or fabric. Number 4 is you need to use a ribbon, a lace, a button, a charm, brad, or beads. And number 5 is you need to use a butterfly, flower, a bee, bird, or any other animal. In the first category, I am choosing to make a pocket for my future planner that I am currently working on. This is the book that I'm going to be using, so I'm going to use this as my reference. In the second category, I have chosen to go with the octagon. My idea is I wanted a flip, a flip. I want this to be a pocket, and I want the pocket to look like it's hidden. And then you would just flip this open, and then you have the pocket there. I don't have the die cut or the compass, so I did a lot of experimenting on how to make my octagon. We do have to layer these. I think we're gonna need at least 3 to 4 maybe, and we would have to layer them. And I was having issue with my border being consistent all the way around. So I figured in case anyone else is interested in learning how to make an octagon, in case you guys want to try this out, I wanted to show you guys my process. Before I make my octagon, I need to jump to category 5 and pick my focal point. And I'm going with the bird because I have this book that I got from Half Price Bookstore. It was on a clearance. If you guys are a bird lover, you would love this book. There is all kinds of different birds in here, extremely colorful and nice. The bird I want to use is I'm going to use an owl, and I'm going to go with the great gray owl. My grandmother has this short poem, and I wanted to put in the back of my pocket over here, or whatever my flip is. So I'm going with this one. Now I can figure out what color I want my first octagon is going to be. I think I am gonna go with a cardstock, a plain one, a white one, and then I'm just probably gonna end up coloring it. My first octagon, I need a 6x6 octagon shape. So I'm gonna go ahead and trim my paper to 6. Once you have your paper cut, what I want to do now is I need to score 6 inches because we are trying to do the flap. Here's my square, and I went ahead and left about an inch and a half as my, I guess, where we're gonna actually glue it. And now we need to go ahead and find the center of our square. And to do that, all we need to do is a ruler, and we're just gonna line up from this corner to this corner. Line it up. And then you do the opposite corners. There is your center. So now what you need to do is from this center to this corner, measure to see what that is. So for a 6 by 6 square, the center to this corner is 4 1/4. So what we would need to do is for each corner, so a square has 4 corners, for each corner you would have to measure 4 1/4, like this, mark your page, and then from this corner go ahead and do the 4 1/4 and mark, and from here to here this should be about 2 1/2 for the distance. So this should be 2.5, and then from here to here is 4 1/4. So you would have to do this mark on all sides. All right, let's see if you guys can see that. So I have all my marking. Just make sure when you guys are marking your square, go ahead and check the distance from this point to this point and make sure it's always 2 1/2, just so it's consistent. And now what you need to do is you take your ruler and you connect. It's kind of hard to see here. You connect this dot to this here, and then you would do the same this to here. You go ahead and draw your line. I'm going to not do that, and I'm just gonna go straight to cutting. And with this one, I can see my dot like I showed you, and I'm just gonna line them up here and then cut it. Here's mine all cut up, looks like a fish. The next step is going to be you take your second paper that you're going to use for your second octagon, and I'm just going to use a regular copy paper since I'm not really sure what color I'm going with. I think I might end up having to paint both of them. So what we want to do is you want to go ahead and trace your first octagon to the second paper. So here's my second octagon. I traced, and I just did a line just to make sure I'm starting out with a straight line. And you want to go ahead and label top and maybe do an arrow. And I'm putting it in the middle because we're not going to see this middle part yet, so we don't have to erase. So this is the same size as what you have. Do not do the same concept of making this second one to this, because I did that and sometimes we're not doing a perfect square, so you're slightly off on the measurement. So it's better to just trace with the first one that you have. So now to cut our second octagon, you need to figure out how much border you want from here. So I'm just taking my ruler that's clear. It kind of gives you, there's some mark that you can go off with as to make it easier. I think I'm going to go with this one. I'm just going to line up. So you line up and do your marking. And what you want to do is you want to go ahead and do that for each side. Here it is. It's ready to be cut. We're just going to cut to the second line from the inside, so it's smaller than the first octagon we made. I know these seems to be a lot of trouble for a shape. I could have done a square or a circle. I do have a die cut for the circle, but I wanted to challenge myself and do a shape that I haven't done before. So we'll see if it's all worth it. I have my second octagon done. Now here's the importance of labeling your top, because when you are gluing your octagon together, I'm getting a inconsistency again, just slightly. I notice it, so I'm weird that way. I gotta be exact. So that's why I'm labeling, because when you label it, it fits much better when you have to layer them. The third octagon we need to make is going to be the center. So this is going to be your top one. So you're going to see the full page on this one. So I'm going to go ahead and use this paper. It reminds me, it looks like a forest. So I'm going to use this. And what I need to do is take my second, I marked it, my second octagon, and I'm going to trace. But instead of doing it to the decorative piece, I don't want to have to erase and kind of erase the coloring. I'm going to flip it on the back, and then I'm going to flip this and then trace it this way. Here it is, all marked and ready to be cut. Now, as you guys can see, I have these little squiggly. In my mind, I'm thinking, okay, that's being erased, so that's not what I'm cutting. Because last time I got confused, I almost cut the wrong thing. So if you guys want to do the same trick, go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this. Here's our 3 octagon. Now the last part is going to make our 4th octagon. And I am going to go to category number 3, and I'm going to use a book page. I'm using a algebra book page. What I need to do is take our third shape, or our third octagon, and we are going to trace on the book page and then cut. Moon. And we want to make sure that the book page that you're using, we want to make sure that we do the same size as our 3rd octagon. So I'm going to go ahead and trace and cut. Here we go. Here's our book page, and perfect size. So one more thing before we start decorating is I need to make my 5th octagon, which is going to be the pocket that we're putting inside here. I think I'm going to use this same paper since I have one that's left over. I'm going to go ahead and use this. Even though it's slightly smaller, we want it to be a little bit smaller anyway, so it doesn't peek out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and trace and cut. Here's the octagon that I cut. So that's going to be the inside. Actually, it's going to be like this, or actually like this. And this is our first one. And then there is our 3rd, and then our 4th, and then our 5th. So now what I need to decide is I want to go ahead and color this. And all I'm going to be doing is I am going to use shoe polish, which is, I'm going to use black and brown. Oops. They're all broken. My husband doesn't use it anymore. And I'm just going to color the edges, but first I'm going to go ahead and erase my pencil line, and we're just going to need the edge where it's going to show. So all I'm going to do is the edges. I have everything erased except just the center part because I still want to know where the top is. So now I'm just taking my shoe polish. Oh, I guess Moon doesn't like that. Oh good, now I have more room. And I'm just gonna do the corners, or I guess kind of border. And I'm just doing a circular motion. So I think I want a little bit more darker. So I'm just gonna keep working on it off camera until I get the color I'm looking for. Here it is. I did color the tail on each side just a little bit. I'm not sure why, just in case. I do want to say, if you guys use this, beware. It does have a very intense smell. If you are sensitive, you might not want to use this. I'm just using this because I have it. So this is gonna look like that. That's the first, and then the second one is gonna go like this. And what I need to do, and this is the third, so what I would like to do now is color our second octagon. And I'm thinking I might want to go with gold. I'm not sure if this is all going to work out, but we'll see. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this paper and just probably estimate again, and then just color it in gold. Here's my octagon with the gold border. I had to do it twice, and I didn't even water this down. So now this would look like this. And I went ahead and inked this and used my, what is it, ground espresso. And I also cut up my owl. So now the owl is gonna look like this. And I have the fourth octagon, and I just tore it. I think this is kind of like what I was looking for. So now we have something like this, and we're ready to glue. The only thing I'm trying to debate is whether I want to sew this, and if I do sew it, do I use black or do I use brown? I don't know. And I was looking at my list, and the only one that we haven't done is category 4, so I got to keep that in mind trying to figure out the design on this one. So what I will do is I'm going to go ahead and glue these together and then decide whether if I'm going to sew or not. I went ahead and sew it, and I did use brown thread instead of black, and I didn't do one here. So now we are ready to glue this together and then glue it to our main octagon, like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue my octagons together. And I'm thinking of putting the owl here, but I feel like something is missing. I want to do the label, You Do You. So I'm going to use probably like the same paper, and I'm gonna do a stamp and see how that look. My stamps were too big, so I wasn't liking that. So instead I found this paper, which is a parchment paper that I use for leftover paint and ink. And I went and used my typewriter and I typed it here, which is perfect because there's like gold splatter right there. So I think I want to use this, and then I can take care of my number 4 and use some brad. The only thing I'm wondering about is whether if I should go with gold or some kind of, I guess this is bronze. I don't know if I want it to be sticking out or what it would look. So see if we have it like this. I mean, the gold goes with this, but I'm worried that it's gonna pop out more. And I don't want to glue anything yet because these brad, I don't think my label is big enough to cover these, I guess, I don't know, the legs. So I'm gonna have to probably put a hole on this one and then do the backing over here. So I haven't glued anything yet. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and work on the decoration. I'm thinking maybe, what if I put some leaves? I have some dried, leaves here. Let's see, you know, like something like this, maybe. Or I also have these, like that. So I'm gonna play around with the leaves and see how it would look, and then show you guys the result at the end. I finally finished my owl. There's a couple of changes that I made. This is not the actual home for it. I just wanted to show you guys what it would look like once I have it in a journal. Here's the main owl. And as you can see in the back here, I just did a washi tape just to show you guys how I would glue it. I can glue this all the way, or I can make a tuck spot out of this tail. Then when you open the owl, we should see our hidden pocket. So when we open it, I have my grandmother's poem in the other side, and then here's the hidden pocket. I also printed out what Barbara's project looked like and what Louisa's. I just printed these out because it just reminds me what my inspiration was for this project. And I have the little note that I made, and I would just put this in the pocket like this, and we close it up, and it's all done. If you guys have any questions, please leave a comment below. Thank you guys so much for your support. Until next time, happy crafting.